Before the flood, life along the Guadalupe River felt like a beautiful, slow song. The Texas Hill Country was a place of stunning peace. Sunlight filtered through the leaves of ancient cypress trees dancing on the clear green water. Families would come here for generations. They came to escape the summer heat, to fish from the riverbanks, and to listen to the quiet sounds of nature. The river was a friend, a constant and gentle presence in their lives. It was the heart of the community, a place where memories were made under the vast Texas sky. It was a place where time seemed to slow down, and the simple joys of life felt most precious. The river's song was especially sweet in the early days of July. Children's laughter echoed from places like Camp Mystic, a summer camp with 100 years of history. People floated on tubes, their worries drifting away with the gentle current. In the evenings, families gathered for barbecues, the smell of grilling mixing with the sweet scent of honeysuckle. Life was predictable and good. No one could imagine the river turning against them. It was a source of joy, a symbol of the enduring beauty of the hill country. It was a place you trusted, a part of the landscape that felt like home, safe and unchanging. Then, on Friday, July 4th, everything changed with terrifying speed. A line of powerful thunderstorms moved into the area and just sat there, refusing to leave. It was more than just a heavy rain. It was a deluge, a relentless downpour that dumped over 15 inches of water onto the land. This rain was supercharged with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. The ground in the hill country is thin and rocky. It couldn't absorb the water fast enough. All that rain had nowhere to go but straight into the creeks and rivers that feed the Guadalupe. The river, their old friend, became a monster. It began to rise at an impossible rate. In one report, the water level shot up nearly 30 feet in just 90 minutes. A wall of water, filled with trees, debris, and everything it had ripped from the land, roared through the valley. It was a flash flood of historic proportions, a force of nature so powerful and so sudden that there was no time to prepare. The gentle song of the river was replaced by a deafening, destructive roar. The place of peace became a scene of chaos and fear in the blink of an eye. At the heart of this unimaginable tragedy was Camp Mystic. For a century, it was a sanctuary for young girls, a place of faith, friendship, and summer traditions. Generations of women, including former First Lady Laura Bush, had spent their summers there. On that fateful day, the camp was full of life. Girls were singing songs, learning to ride horses, and making lifelong friends. The camp's longtime director, Dick Eastland, was there, a third-generation leader who had dedicated his life to the camp and its mission. He was more than a director. He was a guardian of the camp's spirit and a protector of its children. When the floodwaters surged, they tore through the camp with no warning. Cabins were ripped from their foundations. The sounds of laughter were replaced by screams for help. In the middle of the chaos, true character was revealed. Dick Eastland didn't run. He ran toward the danger, trying desperately to save the children in his care. He lost his life in that brave effort. Counselor Chloe Childress, only 18 years old, also showed incredible courage. She died trying to protect her young campers, a selfless act from someone just beginning her own life. Their final moments were spent living the values the camp had always taught, service and sacrifice for others. The loss was staggering. As the days passed, the names of the victims became known, and each name told a story of a life cut short. There were 8-year-old twins, Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence. There were friends like Linnie McCown, Anna Margaret Bellows, and Mary Stevens, all just 8 years old. There was 9-year-old Janie Hunt and 9-year-old Lila Bonner. In total, 27 campers and counselors were lost. The empty bunks and silent cabins became a heartbreaking memorial. The camp, once a symbol of youthful joy, was now a place of profound grief for families across Texas and beyond. The tragedy at Camp Mystic sent ripples of pain through communities far and wide. It was a loss that felt deeply personal. Even for those who had never been there, people shared old photos and memories online, remembering the camp in its glory. Jenna Bush Hager spoke emotionally about the camp's importance to her family. This wasn't just a news story, it was a wound in the heart of Texas. The loss of so many innocent children in a place that was supposed to be their safe haven was a type of pain that words could barely touch. The echoes of their laughter were gone, replaced by a devastating silence. The flood didn't just bring tragedy, it brought out incredible acts of heroism from ordinary people. Faced with impossible situations, many Texans made choices that were nothing short of heroic. Julian Ryan, a 27-year-old man, found his family trapped in their flooding trailer home. As the water rose around them, he didn't hesitate. He broke a window, creating an escape path for his family members. They made it out because of him. Julian did not. He died saving the people he loved most, a final selfless act that his family will never forget. His story is one of many that shows how, in the darkest moments, love can inspire the greatest bravery. The stories of loss were interwoven with stories of survival against all odds. A 70-year-old man in his own boat spotted a woman clinging desperately to a tree. She had been swept 20 miles down the raging river. He navigated the dangerous waters to pull her to safety. Elsewhere, Doug Fuller and Libby Evans Fuller were torn from their home by the flood's power. They were swept into the torrent but managed to grab onto a single post. For more than an hour, they held on for their lives, battered by debris and the force of the water, until they were rescued. These were not trained professionals. They were just people fighting to live, and fighting to help others live too. The disaster also claimed people who had dedicated their lives to helping others. Jeff Wilson, a beloved technology teacher with a 30-year career, was camping when the flood hit. He died, and his wife and son remain missing. Reese Zunker, a high school soccer coach, and his wife Paula were also lost, leaving behind a community of students and athletes who looked up to them. These were people who shaped young lives, who taught and mentored, and their loss is felt far beyond their own families. They were pillars of their communities, and now there is an empty space where they once stood. Entire families were shattered in an instant. Sisters Blair, 13, and Brooke Harbor, 11, were found together, 15 miles downriver from where they were last seen. Bobby and Amanda Martin died when the current swept their RV away. These are not just statistics, they are families torn apart. Each person lost was a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a friend. The floodwaters did not discriminate. They took the young and the old, the brave and the unsuspecting. In the aftermath, survivors are left to navigate a world that has been forever changed, haunted by what and who they have lost. As the floodwaters began to recede, they revealed a landscape of complete devastation, but they also revealed the incredible strength of the human spirit. The response was immediate and overwhelming. State and local agencies, including the Texas State Guard and the Coast Guard, conducted over 850 high-water rescues. They pulled people from rooftops, from floating cars, and from trees. Help also came from neighbors. Louisiana, a state that knows the pain of flooding all too well, sent its own swiftwater rescue team to help. It was a powerful display of solidarity, of people running toward the disaster to help strangers. The community became its own first responder. Volunteers organized themselves, using whatever they had to search for the missing. Groups like Texas EcuSearch brought horses and heavy equipment to comb through the massive piles of debris that lined the riverbanks. They prayed together before each search, finding strength in their shared purpose. In a beautiful act of childhood kindness, 9-year-old twins Corrigan and Cannon Camp set up a lemonade stand. They raised $5,000 to help rebuild Camp Mystic. Their simple gesture showed that everyone, no matter how young, could do something to help heal their community's broken heart. Life before the flood and life after are two different worlds. Before, the river was a place of recreation and beauty. Now, for many, it is a reminder of loss and a source of fear. The physical scars on the landscape, the mangled trees, the empty foundations where homes once stood, are deep. But the emotional scars are even deeper. The community is grieving. They are holding vigils and prayer services, trying to make sense of the senseless. They are leaning on each other, sharing stories of those they lost, and finding comfort in their shared sorrow. The journey to recovery will be long and difficult. But if there is one thing we know about Texans, it is that they are resilient. The hill country is wounded, but its spirit is not broken. The same river that brought so much destruction will one day flow peacefully again. The sun will still set over the hills, painting the sky with color. And the people, bound together by this tragedy, will rebuild. They will rebuild their homes, their communities, and their lives. They will do it with the same strength, courage, and kindness they showed in the flood's darkest hours. The beauty of this place is not just in its landscape, it is in its people. And that is a beauty that no flood can ever wash away.